Hi, I'm Colin Shantz, CEO of Copper Tree Solutions, and I'm here with Matthew Hutchinson, our VCIO. And today we're going to talk about IT strategy. So, Matthew, what exactly is an IT strategy?
Well, an IT strategy helps an organization identify and organize and really execute its IT goals in an ever changing environment in the context of a rapidly changing technology environment. An effective strategy really begins with a keen understanding of the business goals and the initiatives the business has put in place to support those goals. And an IT strategy says this is how IT needs to change and evolve and support those business initiatives to achieve those business goals. Everything that IT does should be supporting those business goals. And a strategy outlines that for us, puts it on paper, puts it in context, and is always evolving.
So, when do most organizations reach the point where they need an IT strategy? What are some of the things that bring them to that point where they say, you know what, we need to rethink our plans here and really develop a good, solid strategy?
Well, it's typically driven by a couple of key factors, depending on the environment. Well, one of the fundamental ones is a frustration with lack of support, lack of results from IT. A business sometimes has created these initiatives they want to put in place in order to achieve their goals. And every time they turn around for support from IT is working on the wrong thing. They're not aware of what's happening. They haven't been put in the loop as to how this thing is going to function and their role in supporting those initiatives. So a lot of times frustration with an IT's results drives a strategy. Also, any kind of significant change in a business. If you're trying to improve your business and you're trying to increase value in your business, you put in place initiatives, sales initiatives, marketing initiatives, production initiatives, anything you put in place, almost all of them need IT support. And when you realize that you're on a long-term plan to make business changes, you need a long-term plan to make IT changes to support those business changes. So usually the driver for a strategy is not so much frustration with IT in terms of the people doing the IT work. It's that sense that we're not connected, that I have business goals and I have an IT department, and the two aren't working together to achieve those goals. One of the things I run into a lot when I do roadmap presentations or strategy presentations is the look of surprise in small, medium business owners' faces when I say what to us are obvious things. You know, the IT department is here to support your business goals. You're not in the business of IT, you're in the business of producing widgets. And if every spend over here is not contributing to building better, faster widgets, then what's the spend for? And just that connection piece, and they're always surprised by the idea that an IT department can contribute significantly to business growth by supporting initiatives instead of just waiting for something to break and phoning the IT guy and have them fix it.
And what are some of the results that you're seeing from organizations that maybe don't have a strategy in place, or maybe they've been around for a while and they've kind of let things go, or they haven't really paid much attention to IT in the last number of years? What does that typically look like when you come in and start working with an organization?
What it typically looks like is a couple of key things. First, there's usually a technical debt. So things have not been maintained over time. And usually that manifests itself in issues that arise that users of the business know just aren't right. So if you neglect your IT infrastructure for 5 years, things will start to fail. And when they start to fail, usually that's a driver for senior management to say, we're doing something wrong. We have to get away from a sort of a break fix mentality and into a how does this support us achieve our goals. So typically it's that frustration level that comes into play to get them started on the drive towards there's got to be something better. Another significant driver for businesses to realize the real need for an IT strategy is frustration with the quality, the success, the speed of the initiatives they're trying to put in place. The IT department should be involved early via the strategy document that's always evolving, should be involved as early as possible in the planning stages of any significant business initiative. Almost everything a business changes involves some kind of IT component. And in order to get a 3-month deadline for a new initiative rolled out, you need to be talking to IT long before then. And without a strategy, what sometimes happens is business leaders kind of poke their head in the door of the IT guys and tell them, by the way, tomorrow we're doing this, or by the way, in a month from now, we're going to implement this. And that typically indicates to us is there's no real communication between business and IT. IT itself, if it's not properly laid out in a strategy, will simply flounder and wait for something to go wrong or be asked to do something, instead of actively contributing via a regular strategy update on what do we need to start changing, what do we need to start preparing for in order to support the next initiative that comes down the line. So the sooner you involve IT via a strategy in your business goals, the faster you're going to meet those goals and the less cost you're going to incur in achieving those goals. So ultimately, a strategy is a value contributor to your business. If you own a business and you work with your IT provider closely via a mutually shared strategy document, you're going to get where you need to go faster, smoother, and easier. And that's how we add value.
So how do I, as a business owner, stay connected with IT and make sure that my IT partner understands what we're trying to achieve from a business perspective so they can properly support us with technology?
Through regularly scheduled update meetings, a strategy is a living document. So depending on whether you need to meet with your IT provider weekly, biweekly, monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, that depends on the size of your business and the complexity of IT's involvement. But generally speaking, at least a 3-month update with a high-level IT professional regarding where is our strategy, is it still relevant, what progress have we made in the last 3 months, what's coming next, and are we prepared for what's coming next? So it's just regular communication. An hour meeting once a quarter will keep a strategy alive and focused, and also hold the IT provider accountable for producing the results that were discussed a quarter ago. Now that we've defined the importance and the significance of an IT strategy, Colin, how does Coppertree provide a solution to these problems?
It really starts by understanding the business needs and making sure that we're regularly communicating with our clients. Every quarter we sit down and we go over where the organization is going, what's planned, what's coming down the pipe. And we bring our recommendations as well as to what we're seeing. There's constantly something changing in the IT world, whether it's a new version of something or there's a new risk that nobody's ever come across before that now we need to build into our best practices. It's really just making sure that we're connected to the business, understanding what you as a business leader are trying to do in your organization, and then making sure that the infrastructure and the technology is there to support what you're trying to do. Another aspect of our approach to IT is we provide unbiased feedback. So we sit on your side of the table and ultimately we make recommendations for your organization that we would implement in our organization, or we try to put ourselves in your shoes and say, what's really the best solution for you, for your organization, rather than, looking at it and saying, what can we sell you? We're looking at it and saying, what do you need? What are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? And how can we leverage technology to provide that solution? As we look at an IT strategy for your organization, Matthew, what are the steps that we go through on Coppertree's side to develop that strategy and make sure we're supporting the business?
Well, one of the first things we need to do is have a business-to-business conversation. As a BCIO, I need to understand where your business is now in terms of its risks and its current performance and how it interacts with the IT equipment that it has. I need to understand where you're going with your business. So typically, I'll meet with senior executives and we will just have a business conversation that's unrelated to IT. Where are you now? Where are you going? It inevitably turns into a conversation regarding pain points, right? That's why I'm there, to discuss the pain points that they have. And uncovering risk is another critical part here. Early on in an engagement, one of the early things I need to do is uncover any risk. By risk, I mean it can be security, it can be cyber risks, it can also be business risks. Equipment in that technical deficit that's imminently about to fail is a business risk. It can cause significant outages. And then understanding the decisions that were made in the past, why they were made. Oftentimes, business leaders make IT-related decisions in a vacuum, because they don't have a trusted resource to go to say, what do you think? And the critical word there being trusted. What do you think? Because sometimes I think you should change something and sometimes I think it's fine just the way it is. But having that trusted resource to talk to is so important. So early on in the engagement, I have to work to build that trust so that you can rely that the advice I'm going to give you is in your best interest. So understanding your business is the first piece of the engagement. And typically what I'll do is literally interview all senior people in the organization, because the owner will tell me everything's fine and the vice president of sales will tell me my sales force struggles to communicate with head office. Those are just some examples of some of the things you find when you sit in everyone's office and talk to them for half an hour. So understanding that business is pretty critical. Uncovering any immediate risks that need to be mitigated, and we sometimes do find those, is critical as well. and bringing decisions to the table. So we can achieve this initiative or this goal, and we have a couple of choices for how we can do it. And these are the ups and downs, these are the costs, and these are the benefits of each one of those solutions. So business leaders want that first conversation to be about, how does IT going to help me make my business grow? And that's where we start.
One of the things that always gets me excited is when we can find ways to drive a business forward, whether it's being more efficient or communicating better or, streamlining some processes somewhere. What are some examples of ways that we've helped organizations like that?
A lot of times they come in the place of recommendations when a business problem is brought to us. Let's use an example of an organization that records a lot of information and is having struggles accessing that information. So we do test results, and we get 50 test results a day, and we store them kind of the way we thought was best 5 years ago, and now we're struggling with it. So in a case like that, what they rely on is our knowledge of what's available to solve the problem. Oftentimes what non-technical people will do is they'll reach out for the first 2 or 3 things that might work and then limit themselves to that because it's the only thing they're aware of. And what we can do is bring a wide range of skill to the table and basically tell people, you have 8 choices, not 2 choices. And these 3 aren't going to, in my experience, aren't going to achieve what you want in the speed or the cost that you want. So bringing that experience and bringing that exposure to technologies to the table. I oftentimes work with business leaders and I tell them, bring me the result you want, not the way you think you'll get it, because that's my job to say, to achieve that result, we need to do X, Y, and Z. And oftentimes what they'll say to me is, I've done some research and I think maybe we should do this. And sometimes that's exactly right. More often than not, though, what it is they've dedicated the little amount of time they have to it to solve a problem that really they just need a trusted resource to go to and say, I'm giving this to you, Matthew. Find the best way for me to achieve this. And I encourage them every time I meet with them. Don't solve your own problems. Just tell me where you want to get to. And then I'll come back to you with ways we can get there. And if there's a cost, what the cost would be. If there's a timeline, what the timeline would be. So encouraging business owners to let us think about what's out there and solutions to IT problems or solutions to business problems that involve IT is really valuable. It brings a lot of value to the table to business leaders who are used to trying to sort it out on their own. And that's never the most efficient way to achieve the result.
I often find too that we can bring solutions to the table because we work with a fairly broad range of industries. We can bring solutions to the table. Maybe we learn something at a manufacturing company that we can apply at a construction company, or maybe it's something that we do at a law firm that we can leverage at some other kind of organization. And it's not that cross-pollination, I think, has a lot of value as well.
Absolutely. And that crops up everywhere. It's very frequent in meetings that I discuss another client solution that we discovered a year ago or 6 months ago, and a modified version of that may apply here. So we get to rely on that experience that we have. And the example, Colin, that you used there was excellent. We recently worked out a filing system for a law firm, and the next week I was at an engineering firm that does exactly the same thing, showing them the solution we found for the law firm a week ago. So that our exposure to such a wide variety of businesses is extremely valuable to all of our clients, especially our exposure to similar businesses too. If we have a manufacturer A and manufacturer B, the deployment solution for wireless access in the warehouse in one is the same, or could be the same for the other. It certainly gives us a huge head start in problem solving. If we've solved it for client A and it applies to client B, that being a critical piece, we're most of the way to the solution already. So we just have to leverage that experience that we have, both in people and in exposure to our client base.
So once somebody comes on as a client of Coppertree and they start leveraging our IT strategy and following that, what are some of the benefits that they get from that, or how we solve some of their pain points through that?
A couple of key points. The first is lower business risk, and executives always discuss security with me. So the assurance that when we implement the pieces of an IT roadmap, of an IT strategy, that we are lowering your business risk to the lowest possible level that we can get it to. Having the right technology to achieve the tasks that they're doing, it removes that doubt that I know we're shipping product, I know we're recording invoices, purchase orders, work in the warehouse, but are we doing it the best we can do it? And what we bring to them as we evolve and work with a client is the surety that the way we're doing things is the most efficient way. That I'm not going to discover a year later that we've been spending an hour doing a task that should take 10 minutes because no one told us there was a better way. So building that trust relationship, creating environments where everything just works, and that's the stability piece to it. I get in my car in the morning and I push the start button. I don't wonder whether it's going to start. It just does. And that's what we expect from IT. My employees come to work. I've given them all tasks. None of their tasks involve fixing broken computers. Their tasks involve sales, marketing, production, distribution, whatever they are. And what we bring to the table with clients we've worked with for a period of time is the right technology, the assurance that you're doing things from a process IT perspective as best you can, the surety that you're secure, and the surety that everything is just going to work. You can take your focus as a business leader and put it on growing your business and not on wondering whether your processes with respect to IT, which is almost every process, whether or not they're good processes and whether or not the IT infrastructure that you have is supporting you in the best way that it can.
So when you have the right technology in place and everything's running properly and your risks are managed, what does that do for the broader business, or how does that help me achieve my business goals as a business leader?
That gives you the luxury to put both eyes forward on what you want to achieve as a business leader. Instead of having sort of one hand behind your back trying to make sure that things are functioning properly, that your staff are able to perform the tasks with the equipment that they've got. So as a business leader, I want to focus on what I'm going to do next. What initiatives am I going to put in place to grow my business? Every moment I spend wondering whether I'm doing IT correctly is a moment I'm not spent looking forward in my business growth. So what we bring to our clients, once we've built that relationship and we've right-sized their infrastructure, we've built a strategy and we're working the strategy continuously, is the freedom to focus on growing their business and not on wondering about their IT situation. Now that we've got a clear understanding of what an IT strategy is and the benefits that it brings to a business, what should prospective clients do to get this process started so they can realize those benefits as well?
Yeah, you can visit us on our website at coppertreesolutions.ca or give us a shout and we'll start a conversation and we'll see what we can do to help.